As a power vacuum opens up on the world of Akuts, the League of Cheaty Tech Evil Schemes needs to figure out who's going to take control of the rest of it. Naturally, negotiations fail. As the Jade Falcon Beta Cluster had landed on Akuts, they managed to trounce the 43rd Fusiliers of the Knights, and as that was happening, so did the Society A Division, dropping the 101st Unit and completely eradicating the 72nd. As they were desperately running for their dropships, they were unable to evacuate everyone, cutting off a significant amount of assets from the Knights and putting them in a severely depreciated state. This coup between the Society A Division and the Jade Falcons, cutting off significant chunks of the Knights Husseini and arresting Akuts for the Cheaty Tech Alliance, has rendered a certain problem. There's now a power vacuum on it, and there's not enough room for all the territory to be divided equally. So naturally, on this forested moon, we're going to do what comes naturally. Clanners got a clan. The Jade Falcon Beta Cluster is moving in to assert its dominance against the Society A Division, those traitorous coyote dogs, by using a setup that is a little abnormal for what I use. I'm actually going with a heavy assault setup because against clanner versus clan, you can actually afford to use a lot of assault mechs. You don't have to worry about putting your to-hit mod so high because you don't have to worry about the inner sphere armor advantage quite nearly as much. Meanwhile, Defler, fielding the Society A Division, has decided to bring two Septissimas, a Vulture, a Piranha, and some really nice AP Gauss Elementals. It's a pretty standard setup. It's a cavalry list, and he's going to move very quickly once he hits the field. In this campaign, we have objectives that needs to be acquired during every one of these games. In this one, I have to take the high ground that is over on his side of the board in his deployment area. It's on the top right of the board. You can't really see it. And it is so far out of the way for my assault mechs that I'm not even going to bother with it. And he, on the other hand, has the privileged objective. Privileged means that he has someone that shouldn't be on the field, taking the field anyway. Some sort of royal child that's trying to scare them into, you know, being a better student, I guess. Anyway, he's mounted in the Vulture. He is pushing him across the water, and just as soon as he hits the water, the poor guy clearly did not pass any kind of mech warrior training school, crashes into the water, goes to threshold check the center torso, breaches. The mech's gone in the first movement phase. You talk about lousy luck. He managed to destroy his Vulture on the first movement phase. I haven't even shot at him yet. We often joke that elite pilots are, you know, schoolgirls, you know, the younger the better, Japanese presumably, and in this case it probably actually was a schoolgirl and not any kind of ironic or euphemistic sense. It just gone, just like that. But he takes it in stride. Defler's a class act like that, and the assault mechs on my side, the Jade Falcon assault mechs, start grouping up. We're going to keep everything together. The Rifleman 2C is actually meant to deter aerial attacks, which I was pretty sure that Defler was going to bring to the field, but alas, he didn't. So the Rifleman's just going to play escort while the Cougar moves in, flanking side to side, trying to go as fast as he can to just clean up the things that I don't want to be sending the Supernova and the Hellstar at, because they're really nice platforms and I really don't want to be tied up with infantry or fly swatting some light mech. Defler, however, realizes that the Jade Falcon have a significant range advantage and doesn't want to play to that, hunkering down the Septissimas behind the heavy woods and sending the Piranha to flank around the back, forcing us to have to make a decision. Are we going to focus fire on the Piranha or we're going to focus fire on the Septissima because the Hellstar can see it? So it makes the shots rather obvious as the Hellstar opens up on the Septissima, tags him with all 4 PPCs, puts him onto the ground, and is going to do quite a bit of damage to the infantry that are riding on him, throwing them off. Meanwhile, the Supernova turns around, pans its guns, center torso, center torso, center torso, goes right through the Piranha that was trying to flank behind them. Gone, just like that, cut in half like a hot knife through butter. This predecessor to a common Draconis Combine battle mech is known for having a full head ejection system that functioned when the pilot didn't necessarily want it to. Can you guess what it is? That's right, it's the Daboku. It's actually not a bad design. You know, Succession War tech notwithstanding. Way back when my first completely painted army was a Draconis Combine army, I actually was a big fan of the design. Of course, when I first picked that mech up, the TRO was only a year or two old, which makes me certifiably old by comparison. So if it wasn't bad enough that poor Defiler started off with a mech killing itself, now his only flanking asset is gone. And this is where one of the cruel ironies of clan lists are. 5/8 is really fast if it's really heavy against an inner sphere list, but against the clan list, it's just not fast enough to really dissuade any kind of heavy armor shenanigans like I'm doing right here. So he starts adjusting his strategy appropriately. He just wants to be able to bag something, anything, and he begins swinging the units around the woods while the heavier assets for Jade Falcon begin crossing across the hill, thundering up and around. The Hellstar beads in, finds his target, and threatens the Septissima that fell down. But he gets up just in time to be able to pan himself around the other side of the hills and throw his guns down on the Rifleman 2C. Meanwhile, in the woods, the Elementals have taken up a defensive position. But again, this is a tragedy of immobile units. He's trying to play a mobile game, and I'm forced to try to chase him down. But now that there's nothing better to shoot at, guess what they're going to shoot at? That infantry is impressive whenever there's nothing else to shoot at, but the full fury of the Supernova, the Cougar, and the Hellstar with nothing else to shoot at is going to eviscerate those poor Elementals. But as Defiler pushes the society in aggressive positions, he starts beating in with the Septissima and the Rifleman 2C. A lot of shots ring around. Not many do much damage, but the shots that do count matter as the ERPPC trails itself right through the cockpit of the Rifleman 2C. Oh, that's gotta hurt. The electrical system's cackling in the air as the thing staggers around and falls to the ground. It had a +2 PSR before all things were done, but it doesn't matter if there's no pilot, isn't there? But that's how it is playing clan against clan. It's like having a bunch of toddlers with shotguns. I mean, sooner or later, you're gonna have those high-yield weapons just clearing off somebody else's head. In this case, the Rifleman 2C bites it, but it could have happened to anyone at any time. Like the Vulture pilot. He managed to just fall over and fill its center torso with water. I mean, it's a pristine mech. I just gotta go over there and, you know, dry it off. So with the initiative still firmly in the hands of Jade Falcon, because we've essentially won the game in his own movement phase, we begin pressing as much as we can into his positions by swinging the assault units up and around. We're going to go around and around and around, and sooner or later, the end game, he's going to have to take a look at us eye for eye, and we're just going to outgun him. But as it stands, the infantry are trying to do everything that they can. They start running out of the woods, trying to attack the Supernova, but it's a trap. The Cougar is just right there, right around the corner, right behind him. The Cougar is going to continue escorting and just picking off the infantry that managed to come out of the woods. And they do. Several of the infantry stands start dying under a fusillade of fire because, again, the Septissimas are making themselves quite absent as they have nothing better to shoot at, so the Hellstar, Supernova, and the Cougar just light them up, giving quite a few of those elementals quite a bad day. And as the elementals that were shot up, falling off of the Septissima, they are put into forced withdrawal, as all of them are actually eradicated to the man, or at least one guy is left. The one guy that stubbed his toe coming off of the damaged Septissima. He's the only one alive, and he's going to try to make a bead for it off the board. While the others still have a lot of gumption, the other elemental stand, they're still trying to harass the Supernova. Instead, they move off to the Hellstar to see if they can do something with it. But again, the escorts are right nearby, and so long as the Septissima doesn't make itself present, they're always going to get shot at, as they will, again. And in this turn, every last one of the little bastards die. So it's come full circle. I've actually not put him into forced withdrawal, not technically by the scenario rules. He's like, you know, about 500 or 800 BV away from it. It's really close. If I can just tag one of his mechs and just, you know, put the fear of God into him just a little, then I would have it. But he's He's probably doing the wise thing, and I would suspect just trying to find an avenue of retreat for those society units. But as you can see, retreat is cut off as the heavier units are now over on his deployment side. He has to run by them, or at least make some sort of really broad flanking action and hope that the pot shots from the Supernova and Hellstar doesn't eventually kill him. Nonetheless, he sees what's going on, finds his gumption, turns them around, pairs them up right behind each other, tries to hunker down to get that partial cover mod off of the hill, and decides to take on the Supernova and Hellstar. They turn around, they open up on him. The Hellstar and the Supernova do immense amounts of damage to it, stripping off what little armor was left from the last exchange and dealing quite a bit of internal structure damage, causing a couple crits, damaging the engine, tags the head, goes into crits, hits the sensors and the life support. That alone would put the thing into forced withdrawal. And that's roughly where we called it. The Jade Falcon had this in the bag from the beginning, and we joked about that a lot. But now that he lost another one of his heavy mechs, all that he had left was damaged Septissima, another Septissima that was pretty much dead, and one Elemental, fleeing it like holy hell to get off the battlefield. And that's clan honor for you. The Society A division absconded from the field, and it was left in the hands of the Jade Falcons. Granted, it wasn't the most honorable of wins. I mean, he practically lost the moment he showed up, but I'll take that. In fact, we went back and forth about it a little. The only survivor from the field was likely going to be the Elemental who jumped off the mech that was being liquefied under high-powered lightning and stubbed his toe and proceeded to run like holy hell off the field. Good on him, though. This has been an Ouchies Batrep, and thanks for watching. And for those of you keeping score at home, the Jade Falcon moved the cluster that was tooling around on Panjang and lost for no really good reason and sent them off to earn their valor by attacking our ally. He was the worst member of our unit, and he clearly was causing problems for us because we were going to have to send all kinds of stuff just to protect his homeworld because his homeworld was completely undefended. So I took care of that. Now it is defended. It is defended by that same cluster. Go us! In a rather ballsy attempt at taking his capital, I landed on it thinking that there was going to be some sort of defensive measures. There wasn't. He was weak, and that has been rectified. We're going to see a lot of conflict on that world later on, though. Barizzle's turned into a hornet's nest of problems because it wasn't just us that realized that there's problems with the equitability of the T-Rex guys to be able to do anything. Instead, just about every other player decided that it was a good time to invade his homeworld. What happened is that he was fighting tooth and nail just to hold on to anything. Just one of his companies manages to come back and fight for itself, just for one landing zone on his own homeworld, while everyone else just kind of chopped up the realty and divided it among themselves. Of course, the Jade Falcons got the best. We got their homeworld. Or at least, we got their capital. Now roll for breaches. It's a 10 plus on the center portion.
Well, we're gonna get 2 games in today. We're gonna get 2.
I mean, we know he's a rookie pilot, but good lord! Did he just leave before the technicians could say it was okay? He's like, no, it's cool, guys, I got this!
I watched all those animes.
This is just like those animes. Those Japanese animes.
My society nerd people, let's put the schoolgirl in it.